What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Motivate, Grind, Succeed, the podcast. I'm Rasean. I'm your host and your favorite internet neurotransformation coach. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about why it is you're not growing and what you can do about it. So self-help books, courses, conferences, podcasts like this one, they're all available. But on their own, let's be honest, they're pretty insufficient. Without implementation, there's nothing really that you can do in terms of having meaningful change in your life. And so personal development in and of itself, the reason why you might not be seeing the actions that you want or the results that you want is probably due to lack of implementation. Oftentimes, it might be a lack of self-awareness. So let's hop into this ideology and what is it that I'm actually trying to get at here. So the main point that I'm trying to really bring home to you in this episode is that life is essentially a classroom. And one of the biggest lessons that life can teach us is that we need to become self-aware. It is important, critically, burningly, urgently important to become self-aware in everyday thoughts, our actions, emotions, and just how we overall carry ourselves. Why is that? Because most of our lives are pretty habitual. If you want to take a second and think about it, we don't really give much thought to our lives. We wake up, we go through our morning routine, go to work, go through our work routines, come home, go through our evening routines, nighttime routines. There's not too much variety on the day to day, which is both a good and a bad thing. On one hand, it's a good thing. You can devote all that brain power to something else that might actually be very crucial, like that crucial decision at work or that crucial decision back at the house. But at the same time, it also causes us to almost walk through life essentially zombified. We don't really think much about what it is that we're doing. And so we don't give it too much thought. And so what that does is that puts a dampening upon our curiosity, which curiosity leads to growth. Look at the world around you. Look at the phone in your pocket. Look at the car you're driving. All of these were sparked by someone asking this question or some variant of the question, what if? Everything we have was built essentially on the backs of a what if question. The light bulb. What if we could have light without fire, without a candle? What if we were able to have technology in our pockets, like the phone? What if we were able to do this? What if we were able to do that? All the curiosity that sparks from what if is where we got to where we are today. And so how does this tie back into the main episode title here? When you're curious about what it is that triggers you, and this, when I say trigger, I mean anything in a positive or with a negative connotation, that is showing us that there is something there that needs to be investigated, especially if it's something in the negative. Okay, so an example could be an argument with a spouse or an argument with a sibling. This could be a learning opportunity. Instead of just going through this argument and this whole ordeal and just say, that's just my sibling, that's just this, that's just that, and then writing it off to how they usually are, writing it off to some sort of habit. This time, I want you to take a second and look at that interaction and realize that the reason why each party acted the way that they did is because there is some sort of underlying belief or some sort of reaction from a past experience. So when you get upset at somebody, there is probably some underlying belief, some sort of past experience, some sort of interaction that you had in the past that is causing you to act such and such a way. Common example, if somebody tells you something in terms of trying to give you advice on what you already know how to do, and then you get upset, chances are you probably aren't thinking this consciously. Oh, how dare that person? You probably aren't thinking that. But subconsciously, your brain is going, I've been working at this job for 10, 15, 20 years. What does this person who just started 3 months ago think that they know about my job? They weren't here when I was here. So now you have that going on in your subconscious that then manifests itself as you getting potentially upset, angry, lashing out at the person, not wanting to interact with them, trying to avoid them. That's how it comes across. And to you, it might not seem that bad. You might say, oh, I just don't like them. Consciously, you might think, yeah, I don't like them. But subconsciously, there's a lot more at play here. So that's where the personal development comes in. It's recognizing where we have these shortcomings, getting down to the root, and then being able to bring forth all the tactics and the tips and the tricks that I talk about on this show. So that way you can be able to implement, which we're going to get to in the next point just now, implement them so you can start to see some change. So how do we implement? Okay. The point that I wrote down is implementation over information. The important thing that we need to do is apply the knowledge. For anybody who is new to the show, anybody who hasn't heard me say this in a while, the reason why I call this show Motivate, Grind, Succeed is because that in and of itself is a framework. The first step is the internal motivation. You have to want it within yourself. The second step, which pretty much all my episodes revolve around, is the grind. That's the tips, tricks, and tactics that I talked about a minute earlier that then lead you to the success, whatever that may look like for you. So with the application of knowledge, reading books, attending courses, listening to my voice, they're all beneficial, but you have to actually do. And when I say do, I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible because I know I'm going to go on a rant with this point because it's so near and dear to my heart. When I say to do, that doesn't mean do it once and then say, wow, that really worked. That was cool. And then you fall right back into your habits. No, what you want to do when I say to do is to put actions and steps in place so that way as you do, it becomes easier to do and you continue to do this change over a long period and a long stretch of time. In fact, what I recommend to you is to not read any personal development books. Yeah, I said it. Don't read any. The information that you're listening to me say and other podcasters and what you already have in your head from life experiences and life events is already enough of a catalyst for you to start some growth. You don't need to go pick up another self-improvement, self-development, self-help book and go read another 250 pages and then tell yourself, oh yeah, I'm definitely being productive. No, you're not. You're just reading a book. Again, implementation over information. It's so much more important that you apply what it is that you learn versus just getting more information. It's so much more important because you could be a walking Wikipedia and spout information, but if you're not actually doing, then what's the point? And this is for myself too, right? Like I've said on past episodes, I have like over 60 or 80 some books, both a combination of physical and in my Kindle app. And I still make it a point to read as often as I can. But what I do a lot of times is when I get to the end of a book, I won't just start up the next book. I will try to find ways to implement what it is that I learned about from that past book. That's why a book that's 200 pages, can I read that in 2 days? Yeah, I can read that in 2 days, but I'm trying to read it to get the information from it so that way I can change my life for the better. And that's what I'm trying to bring onto you. A good way we could do this is actually with active reflection. You can either do this with, again, the life experiences that you have day to day, or you can do this with the books that you read. Just reflect on the daily experiences, the daily interactions that you have. You can also journal, write these down, do what I do, take a voice note, voice memo at the end of the day, and then realize, what was the action that happened and what was the reaction that occurred because of that action? Just write those down. It can even be as simple as, oh, Joe Schmo walked up to me and asked me for some help on something that I believed he should have already known. And so internally, I was pretty upset. I still helped him, but I was upset. That alone is an act of reflection. Simple as that. You realized an action happened. Joe Schmo walked up to you. And then the reaction was you felt upset on the inside, but you still helped out Joe Schmo. Now, the implementation of this information is to now say, okay, why was I upset that Joe Schmo asked me for help? Why is it that I had that reaction? Was it the circumstance? Was it the environment? What is it within you that caused you to have that reaction? Now, a lot of people are not going to do this, which is why a lot of people do not progress and develop themselves. But you're different. I know you're different. At least I hope you're different. So assuming you are different and you actually do want to improve your life, that is one thing that I recommend. And so I actually just ironically bled into my next points here, unfortunately, which are the 2 practical exercises, which are, I'll just repeat them real quick, which is journaling / voice memo. You can keep a journal to reflect on your daily experiences, emotions, triggers, analyzing arguments, emotional reactions to understand the deeper issues, and also questioning. Ask yourself probing questions. The biggest one is the why. I've talked about this on past episodes, and I will say it again because it works. The 5 whys exercise. Look into what it is that you want to analyze, what it is you want to reflect on. Then ask yourself why 5 times. So again, the whole Joe Schmo example that we gave before, and we said that you got upset because they asked you a question. Why did I get upset that he asked me a question? And then you answer that. Let's say you were upset because it should have been something that he should have known already. Then comes the question of, okay, why did I make the assumption that he should know that already? Oh, well, he's been at the job for 2, 3, 4 months. That's something that he should know. Okay, is it a potential that this situation has not come up yet? Now, I don't know what position you work in, what job you work in, but these are the kind of things you should ask yourself. What is it that this person is doing? Is there something else that I can do to potentially help them? Should they be exposed to more? Should I sit them down and ask them what's going on? And were they just not having a good day? Is something that just slip of the mind moment? There are so many other things you can do versus just getting instantly upset or instantly having that reaction. There's a lot more things you could do. And so those are 2 practical exercises that I have for you there, but we're not quite done yet. I got 2 more for you. Number 1 is to embrace discomfort. Now, I said already in the episode that this is not going to be something that is easy because a lot of people don't do this. A lot of people will simply hear what I'm saying, take this as entertainment value, and go on to the next podcast, which if you want to do that, fine. Go on ahead. But if you actually want to change your life, one thing that I challenge you to do is to find something in your life that triggers you in the negative and then start questioning these things. Face them head on. Don't just toss it up to, oh, this is just what I always do. This is just a force of habit. This is just who I am. No, like really look at it. When you understand that personalities can be shifted and changed, you want to address these challenges head on. If somebody tells you that you have a problem with something, don't get upset at them. Take it in at what it is, and now it is up to you to parse through that information and to grow through that. Ask yourself again the 5 whys. Someone told you something that didn't feel so nice. Freedom of speech, buddy. They can tell you whatever it is that they want to tell you, and you have no control over what it is that they say or how they say it. Would it have been nice for them to say it nicer? Obviously, but that's not where we're at right now. It is on you to now take what they said, parse the information through, and then figure out what it is that you actually need to glean from that. And the last thing that I have for you in terms of what to do to help yourself to grow is to really foster genuine, helpful relationships. When you do that, you will have a couple of things happen. Number 1, you'll have much better communication, because when you have people around you that you trust and that you care about, and people who trust you, care about you, and want to see you succeed, you'll have a lot easier of a time opening up in those conversations. You'll have a lot easier of a time asking them, hey, this person told me this. I felt upset by this. This thing triggered a certain response within me. Can you help me to work through this? I need to sit down with you and talk through some things. Cool. Another thing that you could do with these relationships is you can learn from these other people, because chances are, if you are surrounding yourself with the proper people, somebody is going to be ahead of you in terms of where you want to be success-wise, right? Someone's going to be at the next stage of where you want to get to. And in order for you to get there, the best way that you can do that is to be within their proximity, pick their brain, be in the same group as them. What I want you to do is when you get into these groups, talk to them, ask them questions, watch what they do, people watch. I'm giving you the permission to people watch what they do, and reflect on how their behaviors and their reactions and their responses are different from yours. and what you can take that helps you and try to find a way to implement that. But all this is going based off of one assumption, and that is that the people that you are surrounding yourself with are actually beneficial to you. That's the main point. If the people that you are surrounding yourself with are not beneficial to you, the communication ain't gonna work, and learning from other people in terms of what you want ain't gonna work either. So how do you figure out that the people you're spending the most time with are actually beneficial to you? That is an episode in and of itself, but instead of making that a whole nother episode right now, I decided to take what would have been an episode and just throw it into an ebook for you. So if you check in this episode's description, you will see that there is a link to my completely free ebook called The Social Blueprint. And for anybody who wants to have a tactical step-by-step guide to getting better relationships, regardless of where you are at in life, this book is probably going to be for you, and it's worth a little bit of a read. Okay. So in it, I walk you through the process of taking accountability for your social interactions, explaining why it is that you choose your friends. So we get down to a little bit of science so that you can understand that this is a scientific thing. It is biological why we do this. And I also explain to you why we choose the friends that we do and how they shape our life, as well as practical tips to implement some actual change in your life. So if you're interested in that, check out this episode's description. The link is going to be there. Again, the book is called The Social Blueprint. Overall, what can we glean from this episode? The basic steps on why you're not growing and what you can do to fix this. Number one is just to become self-aware. Pay attention to your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions. Focus on those and figure out, okay, what is it that I want to change? This reflection is step number two. Use a journal, voice notes, whatever you want. Analyze the daily experiences that you have, as well as the triggers that cause you to have said reaction. Then the third thing is embrace the curiosity. Again, this is where most people tend to fall off. Approach the self-reflection with curiosity and understand, okay, we're about to go and open up this can of worms, but I'm ready to open up this can of worms. I'm ready to see what is the root of this problem, and I'm ready to go ahead and actually solve this and not just toss it up to habit, not just toss it up to this is what I always do, but actually come down to what is the root of the problem and how am I going to solve this? The fourth thing that you want to do is communicate openly. Again, assuming you have that really good, close-knit friend group or those people you can truly confide in, have those honest conversations about the conflicts, the triggers, and different issues that you have. Bonus points if you ask the person, hey, what is it that you see in my life that I can fix? And most importantly, number 5, apply the knowledge. Anything you read, anything people tell you of what to fix and even how to fix it is not going to do you any good if you just listen to it. Until you actually apply and try it. And when you see something doesn't work, you ask a question to the person who said it. Only then will you start to see some change. There's a reason why, like it or hate it, school gave you homework, is because that is the application part. That's why it's there. So the same thing here. You can listen to this. You can be the student who listens to me talk, and then you do nothing with it. And then you wonder why you're failing the class, or you can take the homework, rewind a bit, listen to what I already said, and actually start to apply, engage, ask questions. But it's up to you. And so again, I'll leave you with this. The books, the courses, the podcasts, the YouTube videos, the worksheets, the ebooks, the downloadable content, the whatever, they're all valuable. They all have value. But personal growth, personal development, it comes from applying that information into your everyday life. Again, life is a classroom, and life is always trying to teach us something. And the only way we're going to learn is if we take those lessons and take the time to see what those lessons are and implement them into our lives with actual practical steps. I know I've said that probably 100 times this episode already. Take a shot every time I say practical steps, but it's true. Unless you change, nothing's going to change. That's what I'm going to leave you with. Take care. See you all in the next episode. And guys, that's gonna wrap up this week's episode of Motivate, Grind, Succeed, the podcast. Guys, again, if you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to the show for weekly uploads. If you love what you heard, be sure to sign up for that email list. And if you hated what you heard, be sure to share it with somebody who will appreciate it. Also, if you guys want to get access to the show notes or any kind of resource or link or to anything that was referenced in this episode, be sure to check out that episode description below. You'll also find the contact information, any freebies, or any sort of thing from our little corner of the internet. Check out the episode description. It's going to be an absolute gold mine for you guys. Until next time, take care, and I will see you in the next episode.